Okay, go with your questions, please. Have you got questions about? I think we should start first with the concept of amor fati, and then with that one of Superman, because they are in a cause-effect sequence. The amor fati comes first, and then after developing the concept of amor fati, we can discuss the concept of Superman. So let's start with some questions about the amor fati concept.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, good.
I didn't understand because he said that we have to accept our condition.
Mm-hmm.
And how can we improve in order to catch, for example, our goal, if we have to accept this condition
Okay.
where we are?
As you probably, very good question, thank you. As you probably can remember by watching the video, he proposes two different sort of metaphoric tools for thinking about your personal life. The hammer and the soul. The
The soul.
hammer is the tool, the psychological tool you need in order to go further, to go beyond, to follow your path, so to evolve. But sometimes you have to renounce to something. So sometimes you need a saw in order to cut down and renounce to whatever is useless in your life. So you are right. How can you just go beyond, evolve, simply accepting what is going to happen to you? But in order to go beyond, to go further, to follow your path, you also need to accept whenever you are facing a failure. Because in a real life, we are facing failures. We are always succeeding. Was it right?
Yeah.
I would like to say another thing about the same topic. The thing is that by claiming, by declaring that we have to accept, we have to say yes to life, Nietzsche is more or less inventing psychoanalysis. When we will be discussing, I hope, in presence about Freud's theory, Freud goes back to the same point that we all need to accept things. And we can answer to your question also by saying the opposite. How can you go beyond without accepting what happened in your life? For example, if you would like to be a singer, and you tried to, and you published a CD without succeeding, you have to accept it and to go beyond. If you don't accept it, you stay stuck in that moment, and you will pass all your life complaining about your failure. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next question.
I didn't understand whether the amor fati is a behavior of the Superman that the Superman must have or not.
Okay, thank you. Very good question, of course. Yes, it is. Because of what we have just said, in order to be able to evolve and to become the super version of yourself, you need to accept. Sometimes there are things in real life which are stronger than you are, and you have to accept it. So you have to accept many things about yourself, and about what you could gain and what you couldn't.
Okay.
The other questions? Okay, go, Daniele.
No, I listened that the amor fati is an idea of acceptance to protect ourselves. So there is also something about religion in this idea, or because he detached from religion behavior and belief,
Okay,
and
okay.
so
Before answering directly to your question, I would like to ask to you, can you see a connection? Why are you connecting acceptance with religion?
because he, he said that he don't believe in religion, and so uh, you have to replace something from the religion side. I don't know.
Okay, he thinks that a religious man, for example, a Christian believer, is not able to accept things because he is always thinking that in the future there will be the heaven and that the heaven
Yes,
will be better than the present situation.
yes,
Acceptance is exactly the opposite. If your situation is not really good, you have to know it. You have to be aware of that.
yes. But the person who hasn't a belief, and there is this behavior of amor fati can be can replace the belief, the religion.
Yes, yes. It is the way. Sorry for connecting the first video with the second one. Is the way this saying yes to life, this acceptance, is the way that enables you to build your values, to understand what your personal values are, and to make them operate in your life.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Go, Francesca. If you think that there aren't other questions about the amor fati concept, we can switch to the Superman.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
About amor fati. In his work, Nietzsche put a lot of emphasis on action. For example, the concept of the Wille zur Macht.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he believes also in the acceptance of everything that happens in our life, so the amor fati. But he doesn't ask us to choose between these two concepts. And he says that both are valid. So, for example, sometimes we can fight, and sometimes we should accept what happens. So, how can we know how to act in a particular situation?
Good.
If you understand.
Sorry. Let's start first with the concept of action, because he thinks that a real human being is pushed into life with this will to power. He thinks that everybody among us has to have a mission. You have to develop your desires and to try to fulfill them. So you have to project your action into the world. By projecting your action into the world, you are going sometimes to face failure because you are not always succeeding with your projects. So they not only are both valid, but they imply each other. Because in the very moment in which you challenge yourself by accepting to try to do something, you are also accepting the possibility of failing. So how can you know the moment? This is really personal. There's no method to accept, but it is a mental, a mindset that you can achieve and you can have, to think that when you are trying to do something in your life, if you, with open eyes and looking at the truth, you can see that sometimes you failed, and you have to accept it in order to start again.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions connected with this passage between Amor Fati and Superman? Otherwise, we can switch to the Superman concept. And you are not only forced to ask questions about the video, if you have also questions about the concept of Superman connecting with other ideas, please do.
I've got a question about the Superman.
Yeah.
Nietzsche attributes to the Superman characteristic of people like Goethe, Napoleon, Voltaire. But in the future, will the characteristic of the Superman evolve, adapting to the historical context, or will they remain the same?
Sorry, what do you mean they remain the same? If they, for example, Goethe or...
They will change?
There will be new Superman.
Yes, with the other characteristics.
With other, yeah, yes, we can say that all your options are possibly valid. So, for example, the concept is that he analyzed famous examples of people he considered as being Superman from the psychological point of view. The fact is not the problem, the issue is not that Julius Caesar was objectively a Superman. He was subjectively a Superman because he was able to go beyond himself and his historic age. So if you are able to go beyond yourself, to do something which is not written in your family history, in your era, in the historic age you are living, if you are able to do something new, you are a Superman or a Superwoman. So so being a Superman relies on your personal ability to do something new, to do of yourself something new.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, for example, they are. I know that by looking at these very famous examples, if I compare myself with Goethe, I can be scared and I can think that I'm not deserving to be a Superman, but that's not true. Nietzsche is describing them so to suggest to everybody of us new ways of being a new Superman. Because you will know that you were or have been or are a Superman. Have you read Il deserto dei Tartari?
No.
No.
Nobody
No.
read it. Okay. Have you ever heard the title of this book?
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
It is by a very famous Italian writer whose name is Buzzati. There is a man, he is a lieutenant in the army who is sent into a castle on the border between probably Italy, is not really clear, between Italy and the generic East. They are waiting for the Tartars. And he spends his whole life waiting for them. When they are arriving, finally, after 40 years of waiting them, when they are arriving, he becomes ill. And another captain sends him to an hospital. So they arrive, he waited for them all his life, and he is sent to an hospital. In the van leading him to the hospital, he fights his personal battle against death. At the end, he dies, but dying, he feels personally that he could win the battle in some way. This is something related with the Superman. You know within yourself. It doesn't matter what the other things of yourself. So there are very famous Supermen, such as Julius Caesar, and there are very unknown Supermen. You know it. You know if you could go beyond yourself.
Prof, sono Arena, sono riuscita ad entrare finalmente.
Very good. Bye-bye. Have you got a question about Amor Fati or the Superman?
Yes. Dov'è? Okay. Nietzsche considers envy while talking about the Übermensch.
Mm-hmm.
The Übermensch. So isn't envy a negative for him?
Sorry, what is negative? I couldn't get it.
Envy.
Envy. Yes, of course it is, because of what we were saying. There's a specific video dedicated to that, but when envying someone else, you are not focusing on yourself. You have within yourself the power of being a superwoman. If you are envying some other, you will be stuck and you will be always comparing yourself with that person. By doing so, you are weakening yourself. You shouldn't compare yourself with other people. You shouldn't invite them. If you are confident with your capacity of being a superwoman, you can feel happy for the success another person is living.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, you're welcome. Okay? Do you think there are other things you couldn't understand? Or you could, or you would like to go deeper into it? I'm talking to everybody. Okay, if there are other doubts, I give you a new task, and then I'll write it on the agenda of the electronic roll call. Has everybody of you seen the video dedicated to envy? Sarah was more or less mentioning the concept.
Well, yes, and actually sono Carolina Gandino.
Okay, hello.
I have a question because I sent you the question through an audio.
I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, so it's the second question. Actually, I think it's a little bit less philosophical, but I'm really curious.
It doesn't matter. It is a question.
Okay, well, at the beginning of the video, they say that Christianity was...
Which one?
The one about the envy.
Okay, go.
Yes. They say that the Christianity was somehow created by the lower classes to underline the negative parts about aristocratics and upper classes. Mm-hmm. So I would like to know if Nietzsche gives an explanation of how and why in the future the power of the church and of Christianity is held by the upper classes. So why, if it begins in the lower classes, it ends with upper classes?
Okay, very good question on a very important topic. This topic will create a link between Marx and Nietzsche. Nietzsche thought that at the beginning, the feeling weakness, which was the feeling of the lower classes, gave birth to this new religion. He defined Christianity as a popular version of the Platonic philosophy. So he thought that at the beginning, this need for consolation was the engine which created this new religion, starting from a need of the lower classes. When noticing this need, when the upper classes noticed that this new religion was developing among the lower classes, they decided to get the authority and to use Christianity as a tool to rule over them. So in this case, Marx and Nietzsche, even though from a left-wing perspective, Marx, and a right-wing perspective, Nietzsche, are saying more or less the same thing. He thinks, they think, both Marx and Nietzsche, they think that those who belong to the upper classes are not really believing in religion. They use religion in order to rule over people.
Use it to control something.
Exactly. But you had two questions. This was the second one. And this was a very philosophical question. You were wrong. Can you ask me also the first one?
Well, yes, I just have to find it because I wrote it down. And
take your time. Take your time.
Yes, the question was about the first video about Nietzsche.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask why, well, Nietzsche criticizes Christianism. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask if he did study or analyze other religions, and if he thinks that all the religions are, well, if he criticizes all religions and think they are negative, or if specifically with Christianism.
Okay. But again, this is a very good group of topics. Differently from Schopenhauer, he didn't really study new religions. I mean, new for a Western man. But he compared, let's say that he studied the ancient polytheistic religion of the Greeks, and he many times compared the two religions in order to find something to say. In Nietzsche's opinion, all the religions are a problem, because a religion provides you the system of beliefs that prevent you from developing your personal system of beliefs. As a human being, you are supposed to become a Superman or a Superwoman, which is to say that you have the duty of developing your personal point of view. If you believe in any sort of religion, this relying on a tradition which is not yours is a problem. But Christianity is worse than the other religions. Christianity does that in such a strong way that Nietzsche considers it to be the most dangerous religion into the world. So that's why there's a short book, is a very witty book, a funny one, whose title is The Antichrist. This book is specifically aimed at criticizing Christian religion. Okay. Good. I am here for you. If there aren't other questions, we can close, and you can, for example, add questions into the forum of the virtual classroom. I will answer to those in a written form. Take your time to look whether you have other questions. Answer the phone. No. Is there a phone ringing? That's a sound in background.
I hear it every time, but I don't think it's a phone.
Yeah,
I think it's something.
Yeah, it's a buzz in background. I don't know why. Okay. Is that okay? If everything is right, remember, you can add your questions into the forum if you have other questions. And go to the agenda of the electronic roll call to read the new task I'm going to give you. Okay? It's been a pleasure. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.